Man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Napoleon Hill. Most people don't fail because they're unlucky. They fail because they never trained the one thing that controls it all, the mind. So if you've been blaming luck, timing, or circumstances, stop. That's the lie they sold you, and today, we're burning it down. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe if you're ready to become a magnet for abundance, because this, my friends, is where everything changes. Hey folks, imagine your mind is like a radio tower. If it's tuned to scarcity, you broadcast fear. But tune it to abundance, suddenly wealth hears you loud and clear. It's not magic, it's mental frequency. Most are walking around like foggy compasses, reacting, drifting, but not you, not anymore. You're here to rewire your reality. Stay with me, because from this moment forward, you're rewriting the code. Say it loud, drop it in the comments. I am wealth. Number 1, the lie they sold you about wealth. If you believe you are right, you have no need to convince others. If you are truly wealthy in mind, the world will catch up. Napoleon Hill. Let's break something wide open today, my friends. The idea that wealth is for the lucky is pure fiction. It's one of the oldest lies society has ever whispered into your ear. He's just lucky. She was born into it. They had connections. And so we walk through life believing the gate to abundance is guarded by others, when in truth, the gate has been sitting inside your own mind this whole time. Imagine you were handed a treasure map at birth, but instead of the X marking gold, it was scribbled over with phrases like, "That's not for people like us," or "Money is evil," or "Stay humble, don't want too much." So here you are, map in hand, but blindfolded by beliefs that were never even yours to begin with. And worse, most people never even question the map. They just walk in circles. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why do I feel guilt just thinking about getting rich? Why do I shrink when someone talks about big dreams? Why do I think wealth is for them and not me? These are not your natural thoughts. These are hand-me-down mental viruses passed from generation to generation, dressed up as humility, but soaked in fear. Let's call it what it is, mental slavery. That's right, not the kind you can see with chains, but the kind that sits quietly behind your eyes, whispering, "Be realistic," every time your soul dares to dream. Now here's a truth most won't tell you, because if everyone knew it, the system would collapse. Wealth does not come to the smartest. It does not come to the most talented. It comes to those who dare to believe it's already theirs. That's the real revolution. The shift isn't in your bank account. It's in your brain. Because when you truly train your mind to believe, act, and think like someone who owns the outcome begins to chase you. But let's be real, it won't feel natural at first. You're rewiring decades of fear, failure, and limitation. It's like trying to steer a ship that's been drifting for years with the current. The second you grab the wheel, the storm hits. Doubt screams. Old habits rise. Friends roll their eyes. Your own voice will try to betray you. And in that moment, most people let go. They release the wheel and say, "See, I knew it wasn't for me." But not you, not this time. You're grabbing that wheel and turning it with conviction because now you understand the game. It was never about luck. It was about mental authority. And the person with authority over their mind, that person becomes magnetic to opportunities others can't even see. Listen to me. Your environment has been training you to stay small. Every time you said, "I can't afford that," every time someone told you to be realistic, every time you saw someone win and secretly felt bitterness instead of inspiration, you were being programmed, not by your choice, but by default. But now you're here. And you're seeing the wires for what they are. And you're about to pull the whole system down and replace it with something stronger, something clearer, something that actually serves your vision. You are not your past. You are not your upbringing. You are not your failures. You are the one writing the code from this moment forward. And guess what? You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to build something big. You're allowed to rise. Because wealth, true wealth, isn't just about money. It's about freedom. Freedom to move how you want, create what you want, give how you want. And that kind of freedom doesn't start in a vault. It starts in your voice. The voice that says, "I deserve more," not because I'm entitled, but because I'm ready to serve at a higher level. So let me ask you this. Are you still believing the lie? Are you still giving power to that inner script that tells you abundance isn't meant for you? Or are you ready to destroy that narrative and replace it with something unshakable? Because this is your turning point. This is your permission slip, not from the world, but from yourself, right here, right now. In this moment, you get to become the person who says, I will not be defined by scarcity. I will not inherit their limitations. I choose abundance. I choose wealth. I choose to train my mind and command my future. Say it with me. Type it in the comments and show the world you're stepping out of the lie. I am rewriting my mind. Number 2, thoughts are things. So what are you thinking? Whatever you hold in your mind on a consistent basis is exactly what you will experience in your life. Let's go deeper, my friends. You see, most people walk through life thinking thoughts are just random clouds floating by, harmless, passing, forgettable. But here's the truth they never told you in school, never whispered at your job, never dared to preach at the dinner table. Your thoughts are things. Real, tangible, measurable. They are the architects of your reality. They are the ink with which you write the blueprint of your future. Imagine your mind as a 3D printer. Whatever thought you upload into it with repetition and emotion, it starts printing. It doesn't care if the blueprint is broken. It doesn't care if the design is flawed. It just prints what you feed it. So if you've been wondering why your life feels like a cycle of the same problems, same paycheck, same stress on repeat, it's because your mind has been printing the same file every day. Here's the wild part. Most people don't even know they're doing it. They wake up, and before they've even brushed their teeth, their mind is already replaying a tired, negative loop. I'm tired. I'm broke. This always happens to me. They rehearse scarcity, they rehearse defeat, they feed the software of lack, and then look confused when life delivers exactly that. Let me ask you something raw and real. What is your dominant thought? The one that's been playing like a background soundtrack in your mind. Is it, I can create something massive? Or is it, I'll never get ahead? Is it, I'm a builder? Or is it, I'm stuck? Because whether you admit it or not, your mind is loyal to that thought. It's working day and night to turn that belief into your reality. That's the brutal part and the beautiful part, because once you become aware of this, everything changes. You stop thinking by default. You start thinking by design. And that's when you go from drifting to building. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who believed he could light up the entire world. People laughed at him. They called him crazy, said it was impossible. That man was Thomas Edison. 10,000 failures. But he kept going, not because of motivation, not because of luck, but because he had uploaded a thought so clearly into his mind that reality had no choice but to surrender. He saw the light before it ever existed. And that is the power of thought, when it's held with belief, discipline, and purpose. But here's the trap. The mind doesn't just respond to what you say once, it responds to what you say repeatedly, what you emotionally reinforce. That's why doubt is so dangerous. Every time you say, I can't, even as a joke, even with a laugh, your subconscious takes notes. It does not know sarcasm, it only knows command. And every command creates wiring. You are literally building mental highways that become habits of thought, and habits of thought become patterns of life. The mind is like a garden, and every thought is a seed. Now picture this. If you plant weeds every single morning by saying things like, nothing works for me, it's too hard, people like me never win, and then you water those weeds with emotion, with repetition, with action, you've just cultivated a field of failure. And the wildest part? You did it to yourself. But what if you flipped the script? What if you planted seeds of power instead? Thoughts like, I am rising, wealth is already moving toward me. Every day I'm becoming more focused, more dangerous, more precise. What if you repeated those until they didn't just sound like affirmations, they became truth? Because thoughts aren't just whispers in your mind. They are instructions to your life. If your inner voice is filled with limitation, guess what your actions will reflect? Limitation. If your inner dialogue is filled with expansion, your behavior will stretch to match it. Napoleon Hill said, all the breaks you need in life wait within your imagination. Imagination is the workshop of your mind, capable of turning mind energy into accomplishment and wealth. So here's a question that might sting a little. What exactly are you building in your workshop? Is it a skyscraper or a cage? This is why you must take your mental diet seriously. You protect your phone with a passcode. You protect your house with a lock. But most people leave their mind wide open, unguarded, letting in every doubt, every fear, every piece of mental junk from the news, from negative people, from childhood trauma that was never even theirs to carry. You have to become ruthless with your thoughts, not casually interested, but committed. Because once you command your thoughts, you begin to command your life. That is not philosophy, that is law. And it's the same law the wealthy, the powerful, the focused live by. They don't think small, they don't talk themselves out of greatness, they don't dwell on what they lack. They saturate their mind with clarity, with purpose, with thoughts so big they shake the walls of their own limitations. So what are you going to do now? Are you going to let the same tired thoughts keep running the show? Or are you going to take back the controls and reprogram the system? Because this is the real work. Not the flashy quotes, not the temporary motivation, but the daily mental discipline. The choice to direct your thoughts, not drift with them. The decision to think like a creator, not a consumer. The commitment to hold powerful thoughts long enough that your reality has no choice but to rise and match them. Now take a breath. Let that sink in. And if this hit your spirit, if it cracked something open inside you, then do this right now. Go to the comments and write it down like you mean it. My thoughts are building my future. Write it for you. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you're not just hearing these words, you're living them. Stay with me, because what's coming next will show you how to turn that thought into focus, and that focus into fortune. Number 3, faith is the currency of the invisible. Faith is the eternal elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Napoleon Hill, and let me say this loud and clear, my friends, if you don't believe in what you're building, you're already losing. You could have the most brilliant plan, the clearest vision, all the tools laid out in front of you, but without faith, it all crumbles like a house of cards in a storm. That's the missing piece most people never understand. They think building wealth is about the grind, the hustle, the connections. And yes, those things matter, but beneath them all, like the foundation of a skyscraper you never see, is faith, quiet, invisible, but unshakably strong. Now, don't confuse this with blind hope. Faith isn't sitting around wishing for a miracle while doing nothing. No, faith is fire in motion. It's waking up with no physical evidence and still showing up like the proof is already written. It's shaking hands with your future before it exists in your bank account. It's acting with the certainty of a man who's already signed the deal before the world even knows your name. Let me give you a picture. Imagine planting a seed deep in the soil. You water it every day. You don't see anything above ground for weeks. Friends walk by and laugh. You sure something's even growing? And you say nothing, not because you don't have doubts, but because your faith speaks louder than their sarcasm. You see what they can't, that's faith. You believe in the unseen roots while others only trust the fruit. But here's where most break. They start off strong, motivated, hyped. Day 1, they're all in. Day 2, still pushing. Day 10, silence. Still no results. Doubt creeps in, and then they stop. They walk away right before the sprout pushes through the soil, and they call it failure. No, my friend, that's not failure. That's unfinished faith. Faith is the currency of the invisible. It buys you time when logic says quit. It pays for progress in a season of silence, and it deposits results in the world after you've already invested everything into belief. But I get it. It's not easy, especially when life keeps swinging, when the bills stack up, when the people closest to you don't believe in your vision, when every step forward feels like you're walking through quicksand. That's where faith gets tested. That's where the world separates the daydreamers from the warriors. Let me hit you with something real. Most people have more faith in their fear than in their future. They trust failure more than success. They rehearse everything that could go wrong until their body responds with anxiety before anything even happens. That's negative faith. And guess what? It works too. It manifests exactly what you feared. So what if you flipped it? What if you trained your mind to believe not in doom, but in destiny? What if your first instinct wasn't what if I fail, but what if this is the moment everything shifts? What if you replaced every I don't know how with I'll figure it out? Because that's how giants think. That's how builders rise. And listen, faith is not built in crowds. It's built in solitude, in the dark, when no one's clapping, no one's validating. Just you, your vision, and the echo of your own heartbeat. That's where confidence is born. Not the fake kind that posts on social media, but the kind that doesn't flinch when the world gets quiet. Edison had faith when people called him insane. Hill had faith when the world said dreams don't pay bills. Ford had faith when engineers said the V8 engine was impossible. Faith isn't about having proof. It's about becoming the proof. Now here's the part most ignore. Faith must be fed daily, consistently. Like a fire, it dies without fuel. That fuel, it's your words, your focus, your environment. If your inner dialogue sounds like doubt, if your circle is full of small thinkers, if your focus is scattered across distractions, you're starving your faith and feeding your fear. You've got to protect your belief like it's sacred, because it is. So how do you feed it? Speak what you see before it shows. Visualize it so vividly that your brain starts wiring your body to act like it's already real. Repeat your vision until your subconscious believes it. Write it. Read it. Meditate on it. And when the world throws silence your way, stand taller. That silence is just the universe rearranging to catch up with the picture in your mind. This is where your power lives, right here, in the invisible. And this is the secret they'll never teach in schools. The world doesn't reward the one who needs proof. It rewards the one who walks like the proof. So I ask you, are you waiting for the world to validate your dream, or are you already walking like it's done? Are you asking for permission, or are you giving yourself the green light? Because that decision, that inner posture, changes everything. Wealth doesn't come to those who wish. It comes to those who know, who show up again and again, not because they feel like it, but because they've already seen the outcome in their mind and refuse to stop until reality agrees. If this message woke something up in you, let it stay awake. Let it roar. Let it push you forward when everything else tells you to settle. Because faith is not soft. Faith is not weak. Faith is fire in silence. So here's what I want you to write in the comments, not for me, but for you. Let it be your declaration to the world. I believe before it shows. Say it, feel it, show it. Because you're not just learning, you're becoming. And stay with me. Because next, we're not just holding belief. We're shaping purpose so sharp, so clear, it cuts through every distraction. Number 4, the power of definite purpose. There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. Napoleon Hill. Let me tell you straight, my friends, most people aren't broke because they lack potential. They're broke because they lack direction. They're not stuck because the world is against them. They're stuck because they wake up with no clear idea of what they're actually building. They drift, they react, they hope. And hope, without a target, is just emotional caffeine. It feels good for a moment, but it doesn't build anything that lasts. Let's get real. You wouldn't get in your car, press the gas, and drive with no destination, right? But that's exactly what most people do with their lives. They wake up, they move, they hustle, but ask them what exactly they're working toward? Crickets. I just want to be successful. That's noise. That's fog. That's not a vision. It's a vague wish wrapped in emotional laziness. Definite purpose is the difference between motion and progress. It's the line between a drifter and a dominator, between someone who chases distractions and someone who builds empires. When you have it, when your vision is laser sharp, you stop wasting energy. You stop entertaining nonsense. You stop giving time to things that don't push your mission forward. Imagine a magnifying glass under the sun. If you keep moving it around, the light spreads wide, warm, soft, ineffective. But hold it still, focus it, that same light ignites fire. That's what definite purpose does to your energy. It sets it on fire. It gives your actions heat, your thoughts direction, your decisions power. Here's what they don't tell you. Vague goals attract vague results. Unclear desires create unclear outcomes. The universe does not reward the confused, it rewards the precise. So don't say, I want to be rich. That's static, that's empty. Say, I will build a real estate business that generates $50,000 a month by serving working-class families. That's clarity. That's a command. That's a mental GPS locked on a destination. And it's not just about what you want, it's about how deep you want it. Napoleon Hill didn't say, kinda want. He said burning desire. That means it's not optional. It's not a hobby. It's not something you do if the mood strikes. It's something that keeps you up at night and gets you out of bed when the alarm clock fails. Something that burns so vividly in your soul that the world either aligns with it or gets out of the way. But let's be honest, it's not always easy to find. We've been so conditioned to follow the script that we forgot how to write our own. Go to school, get a job, save a little, retire someday. That's not a purpose. That's a treadmill disguised as a path. You don't need another to-do list. You need a mission that grabs you by the spine and says, let's go build something legendary. So how do you find it? You stop looking outward and start listening inward. You ask the real questions. What lights me up? What pain am I here to solve? What can I create that outlives me? What would I do if money was no object, but excellence was required? Sit with those questions. Don't rush. Let your own voice rise through the noise of the world, and once you hear it, once even a whisper of clarity reaches your soul, hold on to it like your life depends on it, because in a way, it does. Without purpose, your mind wanders. Without purpose, your habits weaken. Without purpose, you chase everything and catch nothing. And here's the kicker. The moment you define your purpose with clarity, the resistance will show up. Doubt, distraction, delay, people telling you it's too much, that you've changed, that you're obsessed. And you know what? Good. That's your sign you're on the right track. Purpose that doesn't stir up resistance is probably too small. So don't play it safe. Don't water down your vision to make others comfortable. They weren't given your fire. That's yours. That's sacred. That's the compass. And your job is not to apologize for it. It's to follow it, even when no one claps, even when it's hard, especially then, because once you have definite purpose, decisions become easier. Should I go out tonight? No, I've got work. Should I invest in this? Does it align with the mission? Should I quit? Not even on the table. Purpose creates filters. Purpose creates fire. Purpose creates freedom. You know why some people never reach greatness? Not because they lack the resources, but because they never chose a clear why. And so their energy leaks. Their focus drips out of 1,000 cracks. But you're sealing the cracks today. You're choosing to think like a builder, act like a visionary, move like someone who knows exactly where they're going. So I'm going to ask you to do something powerful right now. Not later, not someday, now. Write your purpose. Not a slogan, not a dream board phrase, a clear, measurable, fire-lit mission. What are you building? Who are you becoming? Why does it matter? Then speak it out loud, print it, post it, tattoo it on your days so that every morning you rise with direction, not confusion. Because from this point forward, we don't drift. We design, we don't wait, we build, we don't beg, we command. And if this message lit something in you, if your heart's pounding, if your thoughts are racing, if your fingers are itching to move, write this in the comments so the world knows you're locked in. My purpose is power. You've got the vision. Stay with me. Because next, we sharpen it into belief so deep, the world won't have a choice but to make room for what you're becoming. Number 5, the subconscious obeys emotion and repetition. You are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. Let's pull the curtain back on something most people never even realize, my friends. If your mind was a kingdom, your subconscious would be the hidden throne room where all real decisions are made. It doesn't care what you say you want. It only responds to what you believe, what you repeat, and what you feel. That's the dangerous truth. It's not your words that shape your life. It's the emotional intensity behind them. Repeat it over and over again until your subconscious rewrites your reality like it was always meant to be that way. Here's what they don't teach you in school or show you on social media. The subconscious is loyal, not to your dreams, not to your wishes, but to your most dominant, emotionally charged thoughts. Think of it like a computer, but way more powerful, running silently in the background, absorbing everything. Your actions? Just the output. But the code? That's written in your subconscious, line by line, belief by belief, moment by moment. Now imagine this. Every time you say, I'm not good enough, or I always mess things up, or I'm broke, you're not just venting, you're programming, you're hitting save. And the subconscious? It hears that command and replies, got it, let's create more of that. You see how dangerous that is? You're training your mind to become a machine that manufactures the very struggle you're trying to escape. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine your subconscious as a field, rich, fertile soil. You can plant anything in it, roses or poison, gold or garbage. And whatever you plant, it will grow because the soil doesn't discriminate. It just obeys. If you constantly feed it fear, doubt, scarcity, what do you think you'll harvest? More of the same. That's not superstition. That's neuroscience. That's psychology. That's reality. But here's where it gets even more real. Repetition is the farmer. Emotion is the water. Every thought you repeat with feeling digs deeper roots. One thought once, that's a raindrop. But the same thought felt deeply repeated daily, that's a storm, and storms change landscapes. You ever wonder why affirmations work for some people and not others? Because most are just mumbling empty words without belief, without emotion, without consistency. That's like trying to bench press once and expecting a six-pack. Doesn't work. You want your subconscious to obey? You need repetition with emotion, daily, obsessively, relentlessly. Say it until your brain starts believing it. Feel it until your body starts behaving like it. Repeat it until the world starts reacting to it. Because your subconscious mind is always listening, and not just to your words, but to your tone, your habits, your posture, your expectations. You say, I want to be wealthy, but walk around with a defeated energy. Guess what your subconscious hears? We're not ready. You daydream about success, but spend your evenings scrolling, complaining, doubting. Your subconscious goes, I see, let's stay small. And then you wonder why nothing changes. It's not magic, it's math. Repetition plus emotion equals programming. Programming equals behavior. Behavior equals results. So the question becomes, what are you rehearsing? Because your reality is just a mirror of your most practiced internal script. Napoleon Hill said, any idea, plan, or purpose may be placed in the mind through repetition of thought. That means you can literally overwrite years of fear with 30 days of focused belief. You can break generational curses by changing the mental script you play on loop, but most won't do it. Why? Because it's invisible work, and people crave results more than they crave rewiring. They want change, but they don't want to change. But not you. You're here because you're ready to stop living by default and start living by design. You're ready to use the power that's been in your hands, your mind, all along. And the good news? You don't need permission. You don't need credentials. You need repetition. You need emotion. You need vision. So here's how you start. You wake up, and before the world fills your head with noise, you fill it with truth. You look in the mirror and you speak it. Not as a joke, not as a maybe, as a command. I am focused. I am powerful. I am building wealth. I am aligned with abundance. I do not negotiate with my fears. You don't just say it, you feel it, see it, hear it echoing through your thoughts like thunder. You build that repetition until it becomes your new normal. And when doubt shows up, and it will, you override it like a pro. You don't fight it. You reprogram it, replace it, drown it in a flood of empowered thought so loud, so consistent, that the old voices fade into background static. This isn't about toxic positivity. This is about mental warfare. You're either training your mind or your mind is training you. There's no neutral. Every day you repeat power or you repeat fear. Every moment you're either building the future or recycling the past. So choose wisely. Because your subconscious isn't judging, it's just executing. What are you feeding it? What are you allowing in? What are you planting? Because I promise you this, the subconscious always cashes the checks your mind writes. So stop writing not enough. Stop signing off on almost. Stop programming maybe. Start planting I am. Start speaking I will. Start becoming I already am. And if this unlocked something in you, don't keep it silent. Let the world know your mental code is changing. Write it in the comments right now. I'm reprogramming my mind. Say it, show it, live it. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about specialized knowledge, how to turn your focus from scattered to surgical, from generalist to genius, from noise to legacy. Number 6, specialized knowledge versus scattered hustle. General knowledge, no matter how vast in quantity, is of little use in the accumulation of money. The faculties of the great must be directed by specialized knowledge. Napoleon Hill. Let's clear something up right now, my friends. The world doesn't reward people who know a little bit about everything. It rewards those who go deep, deep in skill, deep in understanding, deep in value. Most people think hustle is the answer, that if they just move faster, do more, work longer, they'll win. But here's the truth. You can be the hardest working person in the room and still go in circles if your energy is scattered. It's like trying to dig a well. You dig a few feet in one spot, then stop. Move 10 feet to the left, dig a little more, then stop again. You keep moving, keep grinding, keep sweating, but you never hit water. Why? Because you never went deep enough. That's what most people's life looks like. Shallow hustle, busy energy, movement with no depth, motion with no meaning. They've got their hands in 5 different things, none of which they truly master. Jack of all trades, king of none. And then they wonder why wealth won't commit to them. Let me give you a hard truth. Wealth doesn't respond to dabblers. It responds to dominators. Specialized knowledge is what separates a dabbler from a disruptor. It's the reason one person can speak a single sentence and shift a room, while another talks for hours and changes nothing. It's the difference between noise and signal, between trying and transforming. You see, in a world full of surface-level content, TikTok knowledge, and Instagram expertise, the rarest commodity is depth. And guess what? The market pays a premium for the rare. Always has. Always will. So here's the question. What are you specializing in? What do you know so deeply, so thoroughly, that you could teach it, build with it, lead with it? What skill have you sharpened to a blade so fine it cuts through the noise of your competition like silk? Because this is what people miss. Your power is in your focus. Your impact is in your depth. Napoleon Hill didn't say, be busy. He said, align your desires with definiteness of purpose and fuel it with specialized knowledge. Let's take a real example. Think of a flashlight. It spreads its beam wide. Software dimensois can't do much damage. Now think of a laser. Same light, but focused, tight, concentrated. A laser can cut through steel, not because it's stronger, but because it's precise. That's what your life can become when you stop trying to be everything and start going all in on one thing, when you stop multitasking your purpose and start giving it your full force. Here's where most people fall off. They get bored. Depth feels slow. Mastery feels tedious. We live in a dopamine-driven world that rewards novelty. New thing, new project, new venture, new niche. But let me tell you something interesting. Masters are made in monotony. While the crowd runs toward the next trend, the wealthy are digging trenches, perfecting, honing, sharpening. They're not flashy. They're focused. They're not chasing hype. They're building legacy. You know what makes Warren Buffett dangerous? He doesn't invest in everything. He studies what he understands and doubles down. You know why Michael Jordan was lethal? Because he practiced the same shots for hours when nobody was watching. You know why Steve Jobs shifted the world? Because he obsessed over the intersection of design and technology until perfection wasn't optional. It was default. That's not talent, that's specialization. But let's talk about why most people don't go deep. You want to know the real reason? Fear? Fear of missing out. Fear of picking the wrong thing. Fear of not being good enough. So they stay surface level, because surface level feels safer, but it's also powerless. Shallow roots don't survive storms. So if you want to train your mind to attract wealth, here's what you need to understand. You can't master something you keep abandoning. You can't become world-class in something you treat like a side hobby. You can't build trust with the marketplace if you don't trust yourself to commit. You don't need 10 things. You need one direction, one craft, one focus, executed with ruthless consistency. You want wealth? Become undeniable in your field. Know more, practice longer, think deeper, become so good they can't ignore you, even if they want to. And that doesn't mean you stay stuck. Specialization isn't a prison, it's a launch pad. Once you master one thing, it opens doors to everything else. Mastery in one area gives you confidence and leverage to expand, to adapt, to multiply, but you've got to start somewhere. You've got to dig until you hit water. So I ask you, what skill will you go deep in? What subject will you make your playground? What space will you dominate so fully that your name becomes synonymous with excellence? Because that decision, that's where everything shifts. That's when your time starts to compound, your credibility starts to grow, your income starts to align, because now you're no longer scattering your power, you're channeling it. And when you channel it, when you lock in on it, when you give it daily attention, daily respect, daily energy, you stop chasing wealth. Wealth starts chasing you. So here's what I want you to write in the comments right now. Not a wish, not a maybe, a declaration. I am mastering my value. Say it like you mean it. Show them. Show yourself. Because the world is full of noise, but you're becoming the signal. Stay with me. Because next we'll break down the invisible force that shapes your life even more than your mindset. Your environment, the silent sculptor, the hidden influence, the atmosphere that either feeds your future or strangles it. Number 7, the decision to commit. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. There comes a moment in every journey where you either step forward with both feet or stay trapped in the loop of almost ready, almost focused, almost becoming who you're meant to be. Let's be real, my friends. Most people live and die in the land of almost. They think about success, they fantasize about change, they flirt with greatness, but they never commit. And without commitment, nothing moves. You've heard all the words, you've felt the fire, but none of it matters if you don't cross that invisible line between I want to and I will. The world doesn't respond to hesitation, it responds to decision. Bold, ruthless, permanent decision. Not the kind you whisper, the kind you stamp on your soul like a brand. You know why you keep circling the same mountain? Because your decisions still come with back doors. You say, I'm all in, but leave the exit signs lit. You make promises in the morning and renegotiate with weakness by night. That's not commitment. That's convenience dressed up like ambition. Let me tell you something hard. The version of you that hesitates has to die. The one that waits for motivation, the one that checks in with fear before taking action, the one that dreams big but moves small. That version is a thief. It steals your potential and sells it for comfort. Kill it, bury it, rise. Because everything changes when your mind is made up, not half made up, not emotionally made up, spiritually decided, a decision backed by the full force of who you are. That's when doors open. That's when people feel the shift in your energy. That's when wealth, purpose, and power start aligning, not because of luck, but because your clarity demanded it. And yes, it will be hard. The path won't be smooth, but a trained mind doesn't need easy. It just needs the next step. You think Elon Musk waited for perfect timing? You think Oprah didn't doubt herself? You think Hill himself wasn't mocked for his beliefs? No, they simply made the decision and never let it expire. And that's what you've got to do now, not later, not after you figure it out. Now you decide that the old patterns stop here. You decide that your vision is not negotiable. You decide that excuses, distractions, delays, they don't get a seat at your table anymore. You stop being a spectator in your own story. You become the writer, the builder, the force. Because wealth isn't attracted to potential. It's attracted to certainty. It doesn't move toward those who hope. It moves toward those who decide, those who walk like it's already done, those who speak with the confidence of a king building his empire, not because the castle is built yet, but because the blueprint is unshakable. So I ask you, from the depth of your being, are you ready to decide? Not just listen, not just nod along, but actually commit. Cut the rope, burn the backup plan, step into the unknown with fire in your eyes and purpose in your chest. Because until you do, everything else is just noise. You already know what you need to do. You already have the vision. Now comes the part that separates you from the 97% who keep talking and the 3% who move. Decide. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. And if this hit you, if something clicked, don't keep it to yourself. Make it real. Write this in the comments below. I decide now. Let the world know. Let your old self hear it. Let your future self recognize the exact moment everything began to shift. Because this isn't just the end of a video. This is the beginning of your next chapter. Say it, show